Welcome to the Bodacious Women in Cannabis podcast, the show where the bold and brilliant women cannabis business leaders share their journey and their expertise. Here's your host, Susan Burns.
Hello, this is your podcast host, Susan Burns. I'm also a lawyer in the cannabis industry, and nothing delights me more than showcasing bodacious women in cannabis. Today, we have the good fortune of talking with Brie Smith, and Brie founded Go Brie Creative. She is a cannabis brand strategist. So if you're looking to grow your brand and learn some industry ins and outs, and just have a good time in general, this podcast is for you. Welcome, Brie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, it's a delight to have you. You know, Brie, we met because I attended an event you hosted on 420. Tell us about that event a little bit, because it was so awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll back up just a little bit to say that, a lot of movement has been made in Minnesota in the cannabis space in the last year. In fact, they just voted and approved the cannabis adult use in Minnesota just the other day. So a really huge win for Minnesota. It'll be signed soon by the governor, and there are certainly some things that could be, every single law, it's like there's more that could be done there. It could have been better. It could have been, and we'll work towards that. But in the very least, we've got an adult use, and we can use it as a kickoff point, to better that. But really excited about that. And part of my interest in the Minnesota cannabis is in the beverage scene, in part because the Midwest is such a drink-focused, beverage-focused, craft beer, alcohol-focused culture. And I think that infusing beverages with cannabis offers people who would typically reach for alcohol a really familiar modality that it's an easier entry point into sampling cannabis and trying it out for themselves. And so it's just really exciting to see how many breweries and beverage manufacturers have adopted cannabis beverages and are bringing really great tasting beverages to the industry and offering that in such a unique way. Like no other state can do that because they can sell it in grocery stores, in liquor stores, in gas stations. Any retail space can sell cannabis edibles up to, serving size was 5 milligrams.
Well, those are hemp-derived cannabis.
Hemp-derived, yes. Hemp-derived, THC-infused edibles. That's correct.
So that before the new statute, that's what allowed the hemp.
Yes.
Hemp-derived.
And July of last year is when that was made live. So they've had almost a full year of that setting, and that's really allowed me to see cannabis beverages in almost any way that you can think of. It's insane. Last night I went to a drag show. They had cannabis beverages there. 2 days prior at Art-A-Whirl in Northeast Minneapolis, the big, weekend-long celebration festival concert weekend highlighting artists in the area, cannabis beverages. Indeed Brewing Co. through Whirligig, they had 2 cannabis beverage offerings there for people to try alongside other beer and seltzer offerings. And it felt so natural. It was fully integrated into the culture. People were I was hearing people talking about it in the crowd. Oh my gosh, did you try this? It's so good. Yeah, it's only 2 milligrams. So nice. I'm going to have maybe like 1 or 2 more. Those conversations, to hear that out in the public, it's kind of just like a dream come true. So my interest has really been in the beverage space, and that's allowed me to partner with a few different brands. But more than anything, the event that we met at, or that you got to witness to, was the LinkedIn Live that I co-hosted with Elizabeth Sage and Diana Eberlein from Source Technologies, and she's also the president of the Cannabis Beverage Association. She was going to be swinging through Minneapolis on 420 week, and I knew that I had to make it a special event since cannabis beverage is just popping off in Minnesota. So I hosted a dinner event and at Natrium Hemp in St. Louis Park. And then the next day at Dabbler Depot, we had a LinkedIn Live where we got to talk about cannabis beverage and what we can expect and some of the challenges other faces are seeing. I just absolutely love conversations that dive deep into that stuff. And it's really interesting to hear from somebody so knowledgeable in the cannabis beverage space or in the infused beverage space, to hear their insights and to see how Minnesota fits into the bigger picture of the national cannabis beverage scene.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that that we were talking about, because I participated in the LinkedIn Live session, and I've been working in this industry for a while, but I was hearing so much, and I'm a huge fan of the beverages and I think one of the things that's so interesting is that Minnesota was able to do this because it legalized the hemp-derived, which is nationally legal,
right?
Federally legal. So that set the stage for infused beverages, and other states are looking to Minnesota as a model.
Absolutely.
And so the hemp space, which when people talk about cannabis, generally they're referring to marijuana or more than 0.10%. So I think that, but anyway, the infused beverage model that we have, and I've learned a lot about it, practicing in this area, but the conversation you and Diana and Elizabeth were having was so, and the level of knowledge was amazing to me. I was awed by the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Elizabeth Sage is, oh God, I could go on and on about how brilliant she is. She's a certified ganjier. She's a consultant helping people to establish, what modalities work best for them, kind of consulting on flower choice. And she's just, she hosts the Ganjier Guild calls Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays every week, leading ganjiers through assessments of flower and introducing new experts to the Ganjier Guild. And oh man, she is amazing. So having her on with Diana, I felt like in the presence kind of like cannabis celebrities or something, because they're just really knowledgeable, brilliant, driven women. So really honored to have both of them on for conversation around that topic.
Well, as a participant, I can say that you've shown as a celebrity as well.
Oh my gosh, not at all, but thank you. I appreciate that.
So how did you get started in this cannabis beverage brand strategist?
Yeah, it starts back obviously in high school, end of high school, like early college years. I didn't really consume in high school. I was pretty straight-laced at that point. But in college, I was certainly exploring my newfound freedom and consumed it recreationally. Didn't really understand any medicinal value of it, but that was back in, probably like 2008, 9, 10, 11. And as I got older, I was probably maybe like 2015 when somebody was like, you get migraines all the time. You should probably consider utilizing cannabis like medicinally. And I was like, I have never even heard that. And they're like, oh yeah, there's like tons of research being done right now. And it's like people are really opening up to the idea. So I was like, okay, I'm curious. So I attended a Green Flower, at the time it was Green Flower Media, but now they have shortened it to Green Flower online symposium with all these cannabis experts. Mara Gordon, Steve D'Angelo, the cannabis nurse. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her name all of a sudden. But
Nurse Ivory.
Yes, and so many other experts. And I was in total awe of how deep this information was and how many different uses. And I felt like I want to learn as much as I can about this. At the time I had a degree in advertising. I worked at ad agencies as an account coordinator, account executive, kind of like moving my way up in the ad agency scene. First in Madison and Milwaukee, and then near Chicago, and then I moved out to California in 2013. So 2015, 2016, I attended that symposium, and I started to get more and more and more curious, and I was seeking out podcasts, and I could only find podcasts that were hosted by like older white men, And I was really yearning for a female voice in the space. So I started a podcast about cannabis, and it was called the Grass Class podcast. That was really my entry point into diving deeper into the industry before I had any role in the space. And I was interviewing people like Tracy Ryan from Canna Kids, Jeff Raber from The Workshop, Michael Katz from Evokes Labs, Ashley Manta from Canisexual, and just attending Women Grow events and diving deeper and deeper. And I was like, okay, I think it's time that I take my ad industry and marketing knowledge and bring it into the cannabis space, because I would love to be working. This is what I should be doing all day, every day, because I have such a passion for it. So that's when I applied to work with Green Flower, and I worked with them on a freelance basis for about 7 or 8 months. Learned so much, and slowly worked with other companies. Wick and Mortar, wrote blogs for them. I co-founded a nonprofit called This Is Jane Project. I started working with a company called Cannasite Co. They build websites for cannabis brands. And I came on first as a writer for them. And then slowly, as I was working more and more with them, they're like, you need to be in a brand strategy position, because you have that ad industry and marketing experience. And I think we can be using it in a more holistic way. So worked with them as a brand strategist for a long time, and now I still write with them. And it's crazy when you tell the story from start to finish, or start to now, how it all came together. But it felt so natural that I just slowly became more and more involved in working with cannabis and being interested by cannabis. And being a consumer first, I think, really helped me, because I knew the challenges that I faced when I was trying to find flower that interest me, or products that worked well with my body, and I understood that trial and error process. So I feel now, as a marketer in the space, I can really help to speak to what I experienced as a consumer, what my friends had experienced as consumers, and help brands to tell their story to make sure that people know exactly if that brand aligns with what they want.
That's so needed. And what a great background. And what I think is so amazing about your story so far to date, I think we expect a lot more things from you, Brie. But what's so amazing to me is that you did the proverbial follow your passion, follow your nose, this is what makes my heart sing, and this is what I'm going after, without here's my plan and here's how I'm going to achieve it and here's where I'm going to be. But the natural progression of you pursuing your passion and what was interesting to you led to a great career position right now. And who knows what the evolution will be. And I also love how you talked about the sophistication of the plant and how complex it is. And I think that's in part why we have legislation that's not appropriate or not fully formed, or misses certain things. And because it is the plant is so amazing, so brilliant, and has so many variations and so many uses, that I think it's just hard to get it. It's hard to wrap your arms around the whole thing, let alone your brain.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But so along your journey, which sounds like an amazing ride so far, have you had any challenges in your way? And if so, how have you overcome them? And particular people that helped you out, or situations, or talk to us about that. We all struggle. So
yeah. And the difficult part too is you can, the challenges often come with how other people interact with you, how you interact with other people. And like I mentioned earlier, I had co-founded an organization called This Is Jane Project, and I'm no longer associated with the organization. And there were a lot of challenges surrounding my exit, which I think is better left, in the clouds. But I've learned a lot from that. It's so important to align yourself with people who are really driven and passionate about doing what's right. And it can be challenging to find those people, and you may you may think at first partnerships are going to work out, or partnerships are good ones, and things don't go the way that you had intended. So I think for me, there was certainly a period afterwards where, like trauma, there's trauma in business, there's trauma in life, there's trauma in relationships, and you have to really push through imposter syndrome. Really start to educate yourself on how to protect yourself in business. Those things should never be overlooked when, you've got the passion and you're following your path and you have brilliant ideas and you want to execute them, but you can't overlook that there's a really essential piece to that, which is just, protecting yourself, protecting your future, protecting, your creative, intellectual, copyright stuff. It's really challenging. But I think one of the biggest things is really overcoming imposter syndrome. And a lot of it is really just telling myself and reminding myself that I'm not an expert, and I'm working every day towards someday feeling like I understand a lot about the plant, but I don't know if there's ever a way to become truly an expert in cannabis, because it is so broad and deep, and there's so much to learn always. But I'm not the expert, so I don't have to ever present myself as one. I don't have to put myself on a pedestal or act like an expert. I'm here to ask questions. I'm here to dig deeper. I'm on a learning journey, just as many consumers are. And I am learning from so many other people in this space. We're all building together. So I can't be an imposter if I'm not, trying to be. I'm recognizing where I'm at. And that makes me feel much more comfortable in continuing to push forward, because it allows me the grace to ask questions, the grace for myself to forgive myself if I don't know something. I'm not expected to know it. That's what we're here for. We're here to learn. So those have been some of the biggest challenges and the ways that I've helped myself to kind of push through and push past that.
And have you found that, because this is my experience, so that's why I'm asking, that women in the industry are generally very generous with their time and information and help in working through certain things as you go along?
Absolutely. I can't stress enough how important the women in cannabis, the cannabis industry, have impacted my life. Even beyond my career, I've been taken under the wing of so many women when I've been going through life difficulties. I'm a newly single mom to a 3-year-old. That has been an extremely challenging experience in my life, a painful experience in my life. And the women in this space have wrapped their arms around me and really held me close and given me the permission to show up as a mess sometimes, because that's where I'm at, on certain days. And it's been extremely beautiful. I feel like I have a family, a interconnected nationwide family of people who care about me and who love me. And that's made me feel so safe and so loved. Elizabeth and Gislyn Ball, she was really the woman in Minnesota who brought me into her network of women and said, you need to be a part of what we're doing. And, Elizabeth then took me under her wing, and, she was even like, you need to come to this conference. I don't care if you don't have money, you're going to stay in my hotel room. I'm driving us, let's go. And I mean, I could seriously tear up thinking about how many different times people have gifted me with their love and generosity, and I wouldn't be where I am today without the women in the space.
Sounds like the spirit of the 70s peace, love, dope era.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the sense of community that prevailed at that time. And so
love, peace, and cannabis.
What about things that you never thought you would experience when you started this journey that bring you joy?
Oh, yeah. talking to incredible people, interviewing people, helping brands in this space, telling the story of some of my favorite brands. It's a total dream come true. And the culture and the vibe, the music that comes with this industry. I got to go to the nerdy concert at Whirligig this weekend and be consuming a cannabis beverage at the same time. And I was, besides being high from cannabis, I was on a total life high. My mind is blown all the time at the creativity in the space and what people are doing. Being able to actually see the plant in person I feel like so many people have never, ever been in the presence of a live cannabis plant. And that is such a unique and overwhelming experience to see it growing, to smell it, to be able to feel the leaves. It's been so illegal and so inaccessible for so long. And being able to actually see it grow in person has been just really, really cool.
And it is, because it is such an abundant plant in so many ways. And the interesting thing to me about the legalization journey is that most people I talk to have come into it through a personal experience.
Absolutely.
And not because, I really wanted to get messed up, and so I got a big joint or whatever we call it now. I don't even know, but dabbed. And most people have used it to solve an issue. And then they think, oh my God, what is this? And then they start on the journey of trying to explore.
Absolutely.
Thing that has been withheld from us for so long. And I was just reading a publication by the Mayo Clinic about the medical aspects. So when the Mayo Clinic starts publishing, it's definitely going mainstream, at least the medical industry.
I saw that. I saw you posted about that, and I was blown away at seeing that. I think it's a great sign.
In some ways, yes. We can talk about that another time. But one other thing I want to know from you, Brie, is what makes you bodacious? What's your unique brand of bodaciousness?
I think I really try to love people, and put my love and my passion into my work. I spent a lot of time in my past feeling like I had to present a certain way or be a certain way. And now I feel like I'm coming into accepting myself more, and that allows me to be more open-minded when it comes to learning about new businesses and other people's dreams and their goals, and how to communicate with consumers who may look like me or may look totally different from me too. So, just coming to the space, being with the understanding too that I'm not in competition with anybody. I believe that there are a lot of people who do similar things to what I do, and I'm not competing with them. I support their goals and their businesses. I hope to refer business to those people. It's so great to have a network of people that you can refer business to. Let's say if your plate's too full, or maybe it's just not aligning in the right way. I would love to know more people who do what I do so that I can refer business on. As long as we keep a perspective like that, I think that the industry will continue to thrive, and you will see really positive partnerships, beautiful creative things coming out of that space where people are collaborating and not competing, because there's enough of that. And that sometimes that'll happen too. The negativity will happen. People will get betrayed. People will get hurt. And we have to keep moving forward and partnering in really positive and collaborative ways. So I think that's what makes me a bodacious woman, is no bars held, going in that direction.
There you go. The peace and love plant, cannabis.
Yeah.
One of the things you said, Brie, that's interesting to me, because I'm starting, as I'm talking to different women, having conversations with them at this podcast, I'm starting to notice a theme, and that is that the plant enables us to stop the chatter about who we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be getting done, and come more authentically into ourselves. That seems to be a theme.
Yes, 100%. And sometimes I forget, because I work in this space now, I am like my consumer habits are absolutely a benefit to understanding who I am more, coming into my own, accepting myself, processing things that get stuck sometimes, being able to push back past mental blocks. I'm not a consumer that is like every day I'm like hitting the dab, 20 times, and like I smoke from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to bed. I take my approach, I think, is much more like, if I'm struggling in a certain area, I'll consume. If I am feeling sad, I'll consume. If I'm feeling aches or pains, I'll consume. It's not like some planned thing. It's just like, I can tell my body needs help, I utilize the plant. And some days I'll go a week or two without consuming because I'm on a roll, or I feel great, or, it's not just like, it's not something that I feel like I need to do. So it's not, I think that cannabis has really allowed me to become a better, more rounded person, and that's benefited me in this space as well. It's kind of cool to think about it all, that consuming it brought me to this place, and how it kind of like is a big, beautiful circle.
Awesome. Very happy to hear that.
Thank you.
Where can we find you, Brie?
Yeah, so
when we want to utilize your bodacious background in building our brand.
For sure. I love networking on LinkedIn. So first connect with me on LinkedIn. It's /Go Brie Creative if you want to search on there. And gobriecreative.com.
And that's BRI, not like the cheese BRIE.
Right. Yes. GOBRI creative.com. Those are the two best places. You can find me on Instagram at The Grass Class Official, and that's where you're going to see a lot of more like the ways that I interact with the culture of cannabis. So going to concerts or going to different events where they have cannabis consumption, or showing up at art events hosted by people, and so definitely follow me there if you want to see more of how I'm kind of experiencing the world of cannabis as a consumer. Those are the three best places to find me, or to reach out if you have any inquiries about working together or partnerships.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your bodacious journey with us today, and look forward to staying in touch, Brie.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.